Hi everyone and welcome back. Today we're gonna be talking about incredibly important and very often misunderstood topic of invisible scars of domestic abuse. And very often we talk about the physical scars, but also as psychologists I consistently see the profound mental and also emotional toll that abusive relationship they can take on individual. And you might be surprised, but many people they actually don't realize they live in a domestic abuse because their abuse doesn't involve physical abuse. And normally it starts subtly chipping away their sense of self, the sense of reality. The person might feel this constant sense of anxiety and doubting themselves and thinking that they're going crazy. But these aren't just random feelings, these are the consequences of psychological manipulation. In this video today, we're gonna be talking about specific psychological tactics that are at play, such as gaslighting and cognitive dissonance. And I hope we're gonna also bring more awareness into why it's so difficult to even recognize that you are in an abusive relationship, let alone leave that relationship. I'm also hoping that I'm gonna bring validation and clarity to your experiences, helping you as well to take safe and actionable steps towards healing. Abuse isn't only about what happens to your body, but it is also about what happens to your mind. And abusers very often they use very specific tactics to gain, first of all, and then also to maintain the control, making you doubt your perceptions and your sanity. And today we're going to be talking about the main two tactics, which is the gaslighting and emotional blackmail. Gaslighting is one of the most insidious forms of abuse. It's when someone systematically denies your experience, making you question your own memory, feelings, and sanity. You might say something like, "I remember you said X," and then they will, with confidence, reply, "That never happened, you're imagining things, you are too sensitive." They may invalidate your emotions by saying, "You always blow things out of proportion," or "Why are you so emotional? You're getting crazy." And the impact of this is devastating. The ongoing gaslighting will lead the person to feel constant anxiety, profound confusion, and this shattering sense of lack of trust in your own judgment. You start to second guess everything, making you more vulnerable and reliant on the abuser's version of reality. You feel constantly on edge, like you are walking through a fog, unable to trust your own senses. This isn't your fault. It is a deliberate tactic designed to disorientate you. Another powerful tactic, it is the emotional abuse and isolation. So here the abuser will use threats, not necessarily the physical ones, but threats to leave, threats to harm themselves, threats to maybe expose your personal information, or threats even to harm someone that you care about. And they're gonna do this to control your behavior. They might also actively work to isolate you from your friends, family, and your support network. They might say something such as, "Your family doesn't care about you, your friends, they don't understand you, your friends, they are jealous of you." And this creates sense of hypervigilance, so you feel like you need to constantly monitor the mood in order to prevent another outburst or another withdrawal. And because of that, you feel more trapped, isolated, you feel like you have no one to turn to. And then because of that, you become even more reliant on an abuser for some sort of validation or connection, even if it's conditional. Understanding these tactics helps us to see what's happening, but then the next question that comes is, why it's so hard to leave, why I stay? And people either start self-blaming. But this brings us to the next really important psychological concept of cognitive dissonance. And I've already spoke about this in one of my videos, so if you are interested in learning more about it, then here you go, there's the video. So now I would like you to take part in a small experiment. Imagine your mind holding at the same time completely contradicting truths. The first one is my partner loves me, it's caring, loving, I believe in this relationship. And the second one, my partner abuses me, causes me immense physical and emotional pain. These two beliefs are fundamentally contradictory, and holding them at the same time creates immense internal stress and discomfort. And now we just did it for a few seconds, but imagine someone doing it throughout the day and night. To elevate the psychological pain, our minds subconsciously employ a powerful survival mechanism, and we try to resolve the dissonance. So now let's think how this shows in abusive relationship. And very often people, they will minimize or dismiss the abuse, and they will do this using certain narratives, certain phrases. And it could be something such as, oh, it wasn't that bad. They're so stressed at work and they love me so much, and that's why they responded to this so harshly. Or it could be something like, most probably all relationships that have issues, or it was all my fault. If I wouldn't say this, they wouldn't respond to me like that. So now you need to remember that this isn't a sign of weakness or a failure on your part. It is a testament of your brain trying to protect itself from overwhelming emotional pain. You might even cling to the good times or the person you fell in love with, hoping they will return. And this psychological battle explains why victims often return to abusive partners multiple times. It is the mind trying desperately to reconcile conflicting realities. Understanding cognitive dissonance, it is a first step in disarming it, but also they help you to understand that the confusion, self-blame, and also rationalizations are symptoms of being in domestic abuse, not flaws of your character. Unfortunately, living under this constant stress of psychological manipulation will have an impact on your mental health, and as a result of that, you might be experiencing, for instance, so chronic anxiety and depression, a pervasive sense of dread, hopelessness, a loss of interest in activities you once enjoyed. Symptoms of PTSD, so you might be experiencing flashbacks, nightmares, avoidance, hypervigilance, even after leaving the situation. And then we have low self-esteem and self-worth, so feeling worthless, believing you don't deserve better, or that no one else will want you. You might experience difficulty making decisions because of the constant gaslighting, and undermining your judgment can make even the smallest choice feel overwhelming. And then lastly, we have dissociation, which is a coping mechanism. So you might have a feeling of being disconnected from your body, from your emotions, or even from reality itself. But we need to remember here that this is not your permanent state, and even if you are still living in an abusive relationship, this can change, and these are your trauma responses, and trauma can be healed. The first incredibly brave step that you need to take in order to reclaim yourself and your reality, it is about actually validating your experiences, your emotions. And I know it sounds very simple, but if you are in an abusive relationship, it can be incredibly difficult. But it will be about trying to validate, for instance, your own emotions first of all, without jumping into excusing the partner, or without self-blaming yourself for what just has happened. So if you feel fear, you validate that. If you feel sad, you stay with that sadness. You allow yourself to feel sad, because your emotions are valid. They're incredibly important because they can really navigate you through your life. And more importantly, by acknowledging your own emotions, you're starting to break the cycle of cognitive dissonance and gaslighting. It also helps you to rebuild and regain trust in yourself. and this is really a foundation for healing. It helps you safely regain your autonomy and also the cognitive clarity. Taking steps towards healing requires a support, and very often requires a lot of time, a lot of patience, but it requires also that external support from others so that you don't have to go through it on your own. So you might consider asking for help from professionals, such as reaching out to therapists, counselors specializing in trauma, domestic abuse, or relationship dynamics. They can provide safe, confidential space to process your experiences and develop coping strategies. Secondly, you might also consider contacting crisis and support lines. These organizations are specifically designed to help. They offer confidential advice, safety planning, and connections to local resources. They understand the complexities of abuse and can guide you without judgment. And also, if you are in an abusive relationship, you might consider deleting the history of watching this video, for instance. And you might also consider using a safe device, a private device that the abuser maybe doesn't have access to when contacting a crisis or helplines. Recovery begins with understanding the problem. And in your case, that will be about validating your own realities, your own judgments, your own emotions. And once you're going to start doing that, you're going to start moving towards life free from manipulation. Thank you for watching, and if this video resonated with you, if this video brought any clarity into your situation, then please let me know about it in comment section. And also, if you think that you would like to learn more about domestic abuse, then let me know about it so I can develop this video into a series on domestic abuse. And also, if you think that maybe someone could benefit from watching this video, then please share it with them. And I'm gonna see you in the next one then. Thank you. Bye bye.